Richician!
Hey YouTube, Richician84 here, and welcome to another top 10 video. And in this one, I'm going to be talking about what I thought were the top 10 bullshit duels that I've played in. Yeah, basically, like, we're talking like really annoying game states that just went against my favour, times that I've been robbed of victory, or just robbed of a comeback play, things like that. So I'm not really going to be covering any misplays and stuff. They won't be included. Now, before I begin, a disclaimer. I don't mean any offence to these opponents, okay? I'm not annoyed with them in any way, shape or form over these things. I want to make that absolutely clear. I'm not saying I'm not happy for them. I'm not saying that I'm not impressed. I mean, because, I am happy for them, and these methods were impressive. Like, methods of winning, that is. So I will admit that, but it was just still, well, at the same time, it was just annoyingly bullshit and frustrating. You'll see what I mean, but either way, no offence is meant. Number 10. Ninjutsu art of shadow sealing both extra monster zones. Now, this happened back when me and Express Gaming were doing the birthday endurance, which unfortunately neither of us have on our channels anymore, but yeah. This was the duel where my Black Wings faced off against his ninjas, keeping in mind, of course, this was back in Master Rule 4. Now, there was this cheeky method of using ninjutsu art of shadow sealing to banish an extra deck monster in the extra monster zone and seal that zone off, which is brilliant, I will admit, even though I really hate that card. The only downside to that is that this can backfire if the opponent puts another monster in the other extra monster zone, and then you have no way to go into your extra deck as well. So yeah, this can backfire. Patsy. Oh, by the way, this is Patsy. Not my cat though, nor Emma's. She belongs to her housemate. Patsy, say hi to YouTube. She's really sweet, and me and Emma can't wait to get our own cat. You come to help with my top 10? Or do you just want to fuss? Don't know if you guys can hear her purring. In before the comments are flooded with, oh, nice cat or beautiful cat, which goes again, completely diverts away from the topic, but it's okay though. Feel free to comment about Patsy. Anyway, as I was saying, like I was saying, my ninjas went up against Express Gaming's, no, my Black Wings went up against his ninjas, there was one point where a Black Wing synchro got banished by it, and then later on I summoned it to another zone, and then it got banished by another ninjutsu art of shadow sealing, which basically meant that neither of us could summon an extra deck monster. I mean, he found it funny, but I found it really annoying and absolute bullshit. Well, Black Wings need their extra deck to be able to play, and there wasn't much I could do. The other annoying thing was I had no way to get rid of it. As far as I remember, I didn't have Twin Twisters in the deck yet, and my only form of removal was Icarus attack. But even then, I don't think that would have worked, because if I remember correctly, he had the field spell on the field, which would have prevented his ninjutsu art cards from being destroyed. Yeah, that was just infuriating. Number 10, not drawing Gamma Seal to get rid of Goblin Biker Big Gabonga. Yeah, this one is a more recent one that happened in a minor league tournament, where I faced Goblin Bikers for the first time, and Big Gabonga was a struggle. I thought I'd be fine. I was running Rainbow Neos at the time, and I know how hard and fast they can hit, so on one hand I was a bit nervous, but on the other hand, I thought I'd be okay, but Big Gabonga and this other Goblin Biker monster just screwed me. And Rainbow Neos was attached to it, and so was something else, and I couldn't fight back. So for Game 2 I sided in Gamma Seal just to specifically get rid of it, and I just wasn't drawing it. I must have played through like a lot of my best cards, and I just wasn't drawing Big Gabonga, and pretty much anything I put on the field, including Rainbow Neos, kept getting attached to Big Gabonga. Eventually the whole field was cleared. I can't remember how it was, but by that point I'd gone through everything, and then I drew Gamma Seal, and I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Now I draw this card? This is just so unfair. And I didn't have much left. The other annoying thing was I made the mistake of siding out one of my 2 copies of Favourite Contact, because I needed room, and couldn't, and I just struggled to figure out what to side out. Okay, so maybe this was one mistake I made, but not necessarily a misplay, so this still counts. So yeah, I did have the out, and yeah, everything would have been perfectly fine if I'd drawn it, but I drew it way too late. But I think by that point my only way of winning was with Miracle Fusion, so I could bring out Wake Up Your Elemental Hero and banish a load of materials and go for game. Provided, of course, I cleared the Big Gabonga, which it eventually had been, but just didn't draw the right cards at the right time. Oh well. Number 8, getting done in by Swords of Revealing Light and Wave Motion Cannon. Oh, you're Patsy. I think she's had enough fuss for the moment. Now, this is like probably the oldest thing that happened on this list, because this happened back in November 2005, during the first Pharaoh Tour qualifier I ever played in, which I did mention in my last top 5 video. I talked about how I was screwed out of going to the Fortune Pharaohs Tour final, but this wasn't what led to that, of course. But yeah, in one of the matches I had went to a third game, and time on the round had been called, and obviously back then we decided a winner with the 4-turn rule, something I really fucking hated. But I would have still preferred it over just deciding a winner after a turn phase. So anyway, he won game 1, I won game 2 thanks to Magic Cylinder. So yeah, time had been called at that point, so game 3 he activated Swords of Revealing Light and Wave Motion Cannon, and I was like, oh shit, I need Heavy Storm or MST, like right now. But I didn't draw any of them, and there was nothing I could do under Swords. Then, come the third turn, he fired off the cannon, and when it came to my turn, there was still nothing I could do. Stupid Wave Motion Cannon, yeah. This really was one of the most bullshit games ever. I mean, I'm sorry, but yeah, despite what I said about no offence earlier, this is a cheap, dirty, dishonourable and disrespectful way to win, just using burn cards and stall cards. Alright, fair enough, I used a burn card which was Magic Cylinder to win the previous duel, but that's different. I mean, it's not like I can freely activate it just like that. At least my opponent needs to attack into it. Meanwhile, with stuff like Wave Motion Cannon, you can just use it whenever you want. Yeah, I've never liked Wave Motion Cannon. Fuck that card. And I hate the 4-turn rule. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that just left me a bit salty. Number 7, Access Code Talker playing through Dimension Barrier. Yeah, this goes back to a tournament game I had with Weber's 5, where it was my Dark Magician Kaiju mode deck up against his Spellbook Endymion deck, which I briefly mentioned in another top 10 video. So, yeah, it was game 2, time on the round was running out, and I was on lower life points, and literally all I had was Dark Magical Circle, 2 Eternal Souls, and Jizikira on the field, and it didn't seem like I had anything in hand. Oh yeah, and I also had Dimension Barrier, and the pressure was on, so I needed to find a way to try and make my life points higher, because it was doubtful I was going to win the match anyway, so my best hope was to try and end it in a draw. And then he went to do something, don't remember what it was, and I activated Dimension Barrier and declared Pendulum, and and I was hoping that that would just end his turn and he wouldn't have anything on the on the field. or any monsters on the field, so that way I could attack directly with Jizukiru, and that would have made my life points higher than his. At least I'm pretty sure it would have done. Oh, and I didn't have a Dark Magician engraved, so there was nothing to special summon off Eternal Soul, so didn't draw that great, but it wasn't terrible. But yeah, anyway, I was hoping that the Dimension Barrier would stop him doing anything, and it would end his turn, but then, without using any pendulum stuff, he built up to Access Code Talker. I'm trying to remember what he did, because I did briefly look at back at this duel yesterday. If I remember correctly, he used the effect of Magician's Souls to special summon itself, linked into Relinquished Anima, then played Magician's Restage to special the Magician's Soul, link into the Dark Charmer, then used that to revive Radiant, which was in my graveyard. Then link off into Selene, use Selene to bring back Magician's Souls again, and then go into Access Code Talker. Then use its effect to gain 3000 from Selene, then use the Access Code to pop Jizukiru. At least I'm pretty sure he did. And but while he was doing this, time had been called anyway. Is that someone's phone? Okay, don't know where that was coming from. But anyway, yeah, so don't get me wrong, I was happy for him that he was able to pull all this off, and it was impressive, but at the same time I was just really annoyed and frustrated, because my countering for Endymion didn't work, and I got screwed by end of match procedure again. Yeah, added to the fact that Endymion is just really tough to beat. In terms of normal matches, I've only ever been able to beat it twice, although the second time would come after this match had happened. Well, I guess it would be 6 in total if you count the 4 times I won against it in an endurance, but in terms of proper matches, I was just hardly ever able to win against this deck. So, you know, I needed stuff in the side to be able to stop me from being able to play. And like I said, it was just frustrating that my counters didn't really work. I would have thought Kaiju mode would have helped a lot, considering I contribute away Endymion or Jackal King or whoever. Didn't quite work out that way though. Yeah, it is what it is. Number 6, another old one, losing to Burn despite having Des Wombat on the field. Oh, Yeah, this dates back to the first regional I ever played in, and one of my losses, which was against generic Burn. God, it's so annoying. So yeah, I lost game one, but I did have some anti-burn cards in the side, including Des Wombat, which makes it so I don't take any effect damage. So even though Wave Motion Cannon was on the field, I had Des Wombat on the field, and I was just fine sitting behind it. And unfortunately, once again, my countering got countered. My opponent then summoned Tsukuyomi, flipped it face down, attacked over it, and then fired off the cannon for game. Again, absolute bullshit. I mean, it's already annoying and bullshit playing against Burn anyway, but having my anti-Burn cards countered, and then have that happened, so infuriating. Number 5. This was a very recent one. The wheel screwing over my Magician Girls against Blue Eyes in the 4th Team Sorcerer's Pegasus Challenge tournament we did. So, yeah, one of the options on the wheel was basically making it so that neither of us could activate monster effects, and this royally screwed me over against Blue Eyes. The thing with Magician Girls is, like, it's heavily reliant on monster effects to be able to play, and if I can't activate them, then I'm in for a bad time. And this happened during Game 3 as well, when it really counted. And yeah, I just swiftly lost. Also didn't help that I was stuck behind Blue Eyes' alternative Ultimate Dragon, and I think Jet Dragon, can't remember exactly, but I suppose, to be fair, alternative Ultimate would have given me trouble anyway. I'm not sure how I could have dealt with it other than with storming Mirror Force, but even then, that would have ended up being popped by his effect anyway. Actually, maybe not under this condition where no monster effects can be used. I mean, it would have been fine, but he just played around it anyway. Yeah, it was just really bullshit. Like, I blame the wheel entirely. In fact, I even removed that from the wheel, not just out of spite, but also because it was just too unfair and just not fun for anyone. And it just felt like too much like a condition where it would just stop anyone being able to play the game. So yeah, that's that. Number 4, another wheel rule that screwed Magician Girls over, but this was in the 2nd Team Sorcerer's Pegasus Challenge tournament we did. So I guess I was a bit confused earlier in the 4th tournament, and it wasn't the no effects rule that screwed me in the 2nd one, it was basically this one. So basically there was, it landed on a condition where basically if you played a card from your hand, you'd get burnt for £1,000. And this royally screwed me. I mean, eventually we had to stop playing some stuff, but it seemed to hurt me more than it hurt Express Gaming. And it just made it hard to fight back and just win game one. Yeah, he was able to gain too much advantage over the situation, whereas I couldn't really, and he had a counter for Chocolate Magician Girl. I didn't even open up with Berry, I don't think. I think if I did, I would have played it right away, but I went with the next best thing, Chocolate Magician Girl. I thought I'd be alright behind it, but Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon just outright counters it. Oh well. I did win game 2 though, but as for game 3, well, that will come up later, but for now we move on to the number 3 spot, which is Rainbow Neos getting skill drained. Now, this was something that happened last year during the Blue Eyes raid boss, where skill drain screwed me over. Yeah, I went second, and all I did was normal summon Vision Hero Vion, and he flipped up skill drain on me. Express Gaming, that is, but yeah, that was just rude. Now, I already talked about this in another top 10 video, but because of skill drain, I literally couldn't do anything. Like, there was just... I couldn't play through skill drain, and I just lost horribly. Yeah, I can't even remember if I ever forgave him for that. But, yeah, it was just absolute bullshit. I mean, I did have an out though. Literally all I needed was Twin Twisters or Neos Fusion, and that was it. Like, I mean, Twin Twisters would have allowed me to use my monster effects again, whereas as for Neos Fusion, well, I could have still got Rainbow Neos out, despite it having no effects, and just had the strongest monster in play, and I would have been able to fight back. Unless he got out Alternative Ultimate Dragon and crashed into him. When I brought this up, he said I had to do that. I had no choice. But I was like, bullshit. There's always a choice. I mean, you did have a choice. You just decided to just lock my deck down, like, just to spite me and Rainbow Neos, I swear. He said if I didn't do that, I would have been gamed too quickly, but I was like, well, not really. I mean, because I didn't have either Neos, Rainbow Dragon, or Polly in hand. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to bring Rainbow Neos out turn 1. I mean, well, on my second turn I would have done, because I did have Keeper of Dragon Magic in hand, but I chose Vion first because there wasn't really anything in my hand I wanted to discard, and I wanted to be able to mill out my Shadow Mists. Wouldn't have been a problem if I hard drew a Shadow Mist, because I would have discarded that for keeper's effects. But either way, there was no way I was going to be in one of those situations where I'd get 2 Rainbow Neoses out in one turn. Like, my hand wasn't even that amazing. So I didn't exactly open the nuts. In fact, I mean, Rainbow Neos is good, but I don't open the nuts with that deck all the time. So it can lose, and it's very beatable, like with skill drain or without skill drain. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually starting to really hate skill drain now. Not really because of this, not just because of this duel though, but because of other instances where it just fucks me. And this was partially why I banned skill drain from Richician format, because I didn't want floodgates in my format, or at least commonly played floodgates. I mean, the only generic ones I didn't hit were Soul Drain and Mind Drain, but that was only because, well, no one plays them. Yeah, it was annoying, but at least later on Dark Magician avenged Rainbow Neos. But yeah, should Rainbow Neos and Blue Eyes face off again, I'm gonna get him back for that. Just you wait. Number 2, swapping hands, screwing over Magician Girls in the second Pegasus Challenge tournament. Yeah, that was what happened in Game 3 of the Magician Girl versus Blue Eyes matchup. In the second Pegasus Challenge tournament we did. Now, rather annoyingly, skill drain did screw me here, but that's not what the issue was, despite the fact that I'd already used twin twisters, and like there was literally no way I could get rid of it. And my only hope of turning things around was with Quintet Magician, unless I banished it off Extravagance. I can't actually remember. But what really screwed me was just a condition that the wheel landed on, where we both swapped hands, and I had a pretty decent hand, one of which, one of the cards was Monster Reborn, and then it landed on swap hands, and Express Gaming didn't have a hand, and yeah, that was the final nail in the coffin. And yeah, the reason why this was so high is because, well, at the time I was trying to win a tournament of some kind with my Magician Girls, and just everything that happened that screwed me just ruined their chances of going through. It's alright though, Magician Girls did win other things after this, which just made up for it, but yeah, so many things just royally screwed me, which was one of the reasons why after this I didn't want to do any more Pegasus Challenge tournaments, although a year later something convinced me to change my mind. Don't remember what it was though, but yeah, everything I've talked about so far is nothing compared to this. Number one, topping Mystic Mine against Rockets. This was in the last local tournaments that happened before everything shut, and the pandemic caused the UK to go into lockdown. So I was playing Rockets in the tournament, and one of my matchups was against Paleozoic Frog, and I was doing really well here. Yeah, I was winning, I was on top. I think my life points were pretty much untouched, and I had my opponent on 1700, and then he top decks Mystic fucking Mine. And then after that, there's just nothing I can do. Like, it just screwed me. Well, again, I did have Twin Twisters, but I just wasn't drawing it. And it was just lots of turn passing, just not being able to do fuck all. Although there was one point where eventually we managed to have the same number of monsters, which popped Mystic Mine, but by then it was too late. And then after that I drew into Twin Twisters, and I just wasn't drawing into anything that could get another monster on board. In fact, by that point I'd gone through pretty much every monster in the deck. And not a lot of ways to get one out. And then I drew the last card, had no other monsters, just the Borrelode on the field, plus he had a defence position monster, and there was literally no way to win. And what made it worse was that time was going to be called in like a few minutes, and even though I sided, it didn't help, and then I bricked. And he just managed to get out Toad, which I attributed away for Gamma Seal, but I had no other plays. I think my opening hand was 2 Gamma Seals and just unplayable spells. So, yeah, this led to a mixture of things that just fucks me in this one. Mystic Mine, decking out, bricking, and I think I just had to scoop after that. But yeah, it was mainly because of Mystic fucking Mine. Like, things could have been a lot different if it wasn't for that card. Like, I could have won game 1. Maybe my opponent could have won game 2, and then it would have gone to a third game, and who knows how that would have gone. Stupid Mystic Mine. I'm so glad that it's banned. Now, I guess for stuff like this, people, like including Express Gaming, have said, why not just put in other forms of back row removal? It's like, or even against trap tricks, but it's like, I don't have room for other forms of back row. Like, I need room for other things. Same with monster destruction. Like, I only have, in terms of generic stuff, I've only got room for like 1 copy of Regeki and 1 copy of Twin Twisters. Like, that's it. Regardless of whether it's the normal current format, Richician format, or Express Gaming format. You know, I need room for other things. Along with the fact that in Richician format, Harpy's Feather Duster is banned, like for reasons that I talked about before. But anyway, yeah, those are the top 10 bullshit duels for me. Do you guys have any similar stories? What are the most bullshit duels that you guys have had? Feel free to let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you later. Bye. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Richician YouTube channel.